We got 5 minutes on the clock. What is your name and your podcast show?
Yeah, my name is Leanne Lovely. I actually have a podcast that is going live right now, or that is running live right now, called Let's Talk HR, Humanizing the Conversation, that I am sunsetting. And in the midst of recording and launching a new podcast called Love Your Sales, coming in January of 2024.
Yeah.
Um,
So you're in the process. This is we've met a long time ago, and you were cranking the show, doing really well, but you're shutting it and starting a new one. Why would one do that?
yeah, it was heartbreak. Well, first of all, when I first met you, um, it was a recommendation somebody made to me that, maybe it's time to move on from it. And I'm like, no, definitely not going to do that. But I realized it's not in alignment with what I do. And people were getting confused. Are you an HR lady or are you a sales lady? And I'm like, well, I'm sales, but I have an HR background, which is why I talk about that. So it made sense for me to say, okay, it's time to move on and really align me and my brand to, be completely and totally perfect. And that's what I did. So now my business is Love Your Sales. My podcast is Love Your Sales.
Love your sales. Why do you call it that?
Well, my name is Leanne Lovely, and I threw it out to a group and said, what should I name my business? And they're like, well, it should say love or something. And somebody said, what about Love Your Sales? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that.
I kind of like it too, because when I think some people hear sales or salesman or saleswoman or whatever the case may be, it's kind of like, salesman, right?
Mhm.
But you're turning it on its head where love your sales. Like, what's your approach? Like, what's your number one approach to sales that's maybe different from the other salespeople out there?
Well, first of all, I'm a fractional sales individual, and sales should not be hard. It shouldn't be something that people hate. And often we misconceive that, oh man, sales are they're really difficult, or that companies, you walk in and um, as the salesperson, you walk in and people are like, oh man, I don't want to talk to the salesperson. They're out there having fun. I'm doing all the hard work. It's not that people should be working in tandem and together, because each person has their skill, and they should work in that pocket.
Mhm.
So, I remind me of what the question was.
Your different approach. Well, you're saying that there's this view of sales and salespeople, and
Yeah.
like you approach it differently. And I could tell by your spirit and like who you are, you really do love sales, even as a
Yeah.
fractional sales leader.
Here's one of the things that I drill into people is that you don't have to be an expert in any one thing other than knowing, understanding, and loving humans, loving people, and wanting to get to know people. Once you do that and you can understand and get to know that person, whatever product you have or whatever, if your product solves a problem for them, you can then approach them and say, let's talk about what problem I can solve for you through the product offering I have. That's what it's about. It's about connection, community, understanding, period.
When you watch a movie like Glengarry, coffees for closer and close those deals, always be closing, like, and you're approaching it with empathy, love, and solving a problem.
Mhm.
Where did you learn that? And I know we only have a minute left.
Um, just I through honestly, through my background in HR, people want to be heard. That's it. People want to be heard and understood.
Man,
Human
what
nature.
what a great, because you're bringing an HR empathy to the level of sales. Really awesome. Where could people go in January to listen in to your podcast?
It'll be everywhere on all of the normal platforms, but you can find me on my website at loveyoursales.com.
Loveyoursales.com. We did that all under 5 minutes, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. As always, reach out to our guests. Hey, thanks for being on the show, and check out their podcast. Give them 5-star reviews, and subscribe, listen, and share it with all your friends. All right. We'll talk to you all on the next episode. Bye, everyone.